main requirement on conditional offer to be able to complete the application, then you're going to need your maintenance fees and tuition fees in your account, and then you need to take a tuberculosis test, a TB test. Now, another thing that you can add as supporting documents if you have this is if you're able to sort out housing, that is accommodation beforehand. You also want to include maybe like an email verifying that so a printout of an email verifying that you've paid your accommodation fees or you have housing, and this is called King's Court or whatever, and this is your room number. Anything you can really print out to support that. If you are using private student accommodation, I would do a video on living in London and options for accommodation while studying as well. If it's private student accommodation, you just want to verify that you've booked. So again, a printout just showing address, location, details of the name of the accommodation, where you're going to be, all of that, and payment receipts to show that this is what you've paid for. All of that just bolsters your application. So from the TB test to the cost of the applications itself to the health surcharge, you're sitting anywhere between £775 to £1,100 at the max. So that you sit in between that, depending on, for example, if you are expediting your visa application or if you're using the normal time frame. For just the visa application alone, I think it's around £340. Just if you're waiting out the normal length of time for receiving your visa, that means you really are just waiting to see when you get it back and when you get called back to the visa center to pick up your passport. So again, that's another thing to note about certain visa centers. You are able to expedite your visa application. Some people offer 1 week. I think you can do 5 business days. You can do 2 weeks, and if not, my apologies, if not, it is just anywhere between a month to 3 months waiting period. And that's just that is at the hands of the UK government. You can't really do anything about that. Again, there's no way to guarantee other than by prayer. there's no other way to guarantee what response you will get. So again, this is why your application has to be absolutely airtight, because anything that is missing will come back with a rejection. And if you get everything right, there's no reason that you shouldn't be approved unless they smell something fishy. But if everything is on point, you are honest, you are genuine, you have included every single documentation that you need to, you have done and completed the application appropriately, there should be absolutely no issues. You've made your payments, nothing has bounced back. You wouldn't even get to the visa center if anything bounced back in the first place. So you just wait on, depending on the service that you've paid for. And then when you get your response, what will happen is in your passport, you will have the visa, but the visa will only last a month. So let's say you get it on the 1st of July. It will say visa starts on the 1st of July 2020 and ends on the 31st of July 2020. And what that means is your visa has been approved, you have it. However, they don't give you the length of the visa in your passport. When you get to the UK, what will come with your passport when you get it back is a letter, and basically in that letter will say that you are you've been accepted, you have your visa, and when you arrive in the UK, you will be able to pick up your biometric residence permit. So that's what you have. That's basically what your visa will be, and your permit will be a little card that you get to pick up. So backtracking to the application, during that process, you actually have to pick a location. You have to choose a location to pick your BRP, which is your biometric residence permit, BRP. So you can choose, basically, I usually would choose the post the post office near my university, knowing that I would be on the campus or going to university basically every day. I was like, I can definitely pick it up there. So you can do that, or you can pick a post office near your accommodation if you have it. But ideally, you just want to pick whatever post office is closest to your university, and then you go and pick it up from there. It will be picked up from a post office. You have to pick up from post office. That's not, I'm not just throwing that out there. That is the procedure. And once you have that, what you do is you have to go in with your passport and that BRP letter that you have. They will take down your information, and then they will generate the BRP with your current like address and all of those details in for you, and you have it. You do not want to lose that. It costs like about another £300 to get back. That is basically what you should hold. It's your ID, it's your everything. I would advise that as soon as you get it, scan it back and front, keep a copy somewhere. And when we are able to travel again, if you're traveling in Europe, if you're traveling outside Europe, you definitely want to have copies of that, as well as your offer letter from your university and your BRP. Make sure you don't lose your BRP ever. And yeah, that's about it. Now, if you are in the UK, as you will likely be when you're done with the GDL and you're moving on to the BPTC, you will require the visa. You basically have to do this process again. You will require another Tier 4 visa. So the Tier 4 visas are given per year. It doesn't matter if you have, let's say you were doing the LLB, it would be the same situation with the LLB. If you are an international student, you will have to renew your visa every year. Now, what I found with that process was that it was much cheaper for me to renew much cheaper for me to renew my visa, or to have my visa done in Accra, than it was to have it done in London from Croydon. It was basically double the visa cost, which is difficult to explain, but for some reason I was paying a lot more for the same exact visa than I would have had I done it in Ghana. But obviously, if you're going to factor in flying all the way back home, if you have no other reasons, if you can't spread that cost, then if you factor in flying all the way back home, it might come to the same thing. I think I did do that, and it was still just a little bit over, but it was the time frame. So ultimately it might be cheaper to stay in the UK and just have it done. It's smoother. You don't need the TB test, all of that. That's all done. That's all out of the window, I should say. But I found that you are going to be paying more than the top tier of £1,100 renewing your visa in the UK, again, based on the process. But you'll be getting it a lot faster. And so there's advantages of being here. The visa centers, the one that being in London, the closest one was in Croydon. So I think that's the one that a lot of people go to. But you will also be taking a trip out to Croydon. It was an interesting trip. Not one that I had anticipated that I would have to do until I saw the list of the visa centers. But that's something to just have in the back of your mind, that in your second year you will be repeating this entire process again, and maybe at a higher, more likely than not, at a higher cost, unless some things have fundamentally shifted that I don't know about. Still remaining on the topic of completing the second Tier 4 visa application, if you, let's say towards the end of the GDL, before you can obtain your next visa, you're running into some difficulties. So let's say a situation of like resits, or trying to obtain your COAS, your certificate of academic standing, if you haven't obtained that, or doing your BCAT and waiting for your BCAT results, or applying to the IN and waiting for all of that. Something may be delayed and prolonged into the period of you actually being able to start the BPTC, and you have not been able to apply for the visa because of that. What you usually just need to do is be consistent in communication with your university and your law department. So if you are experiencing difficulties, and this could happen to anyone, it will probably happen to a couple of you, do not panic. Communicate with your school, let them know what's going on, and go from there. But also, please do not sit comfortably just hoping. You will not be automatically given an extension. That is absolutely not the case. So do not misread, do not misinterpret, do not misconstrue my words. So just, again, communicate and don't panic. You don't need to. Throughout your period of study, once you're in the UK and you're going about your GDL classes and you're going to land law and then to contract and then to EU and you're just doing 3 hours back to back and tutorials and chambers evenings and all of that, there are regular checkups on you as an international student if you're on the Tier 4 visa. So at different time periods during the year, you will either have to, depending on the university, you probably have to report to one person or report to an office just to kind of tell them how you're getting on with the course, make sure that you are attending class and all of that. So all classes do take registration. They are very strict, especially for international students. All classes, doesn't matter who you are, registration is taken, but you have to make sure, especially where you have to sign a register for it to be noted that you attended the class. If you are on a Tier 4 visa, that is not a signature you want to miss. Absolutely do not do it. During the GDL, during the BPTC, please make sure you sign soon so that they know that you're attending class, because that list is basically taken back to the office, which is basically taken back to the government to make sure that those on the visas are actually here for their education and are actually doing that. You cannot miss a bunch of classes. With the GDL, I think the pass rate of attendance is a little lower, but with the BPTC, extremely strict. It is 80%. If you are 1% below, it doesn't matter how well you do in your exams, you will be failed because you failed attendance, and that is a standard that is set. So just make sure that registration is being marked. Be the one to remind the professor that the registration list is not out. Sign your name and go your way. When the checkups happen, just make sure you go. Obviously now with the way things have changed, the checkups are being done online. So just make sure you're following up on whatever format is required of you to check in, because you cannot skip it, and you don't want any unnecessary problems. So moving on to scholarships. So one great thing is there are many opportunities for you to be able to fund your GDL and BPTC studies in the UK. So I have not talked too much about ins and ins of courts yet, but there will be a video that, because of that, will clarify everything that's actually said in this video, but I'll give you a little summary and a roadmap. Basically, there are 3 types of scholarship you can get, or 3 categories that you can of scholarships that you can get to study in the UK. So one is your university scholarships. Second are scholarships by the Inns of Court, and then the third are international scholarships that you can apply to that fund different international students' education. So with your university, again in the UK, I don't know if I've said this in any of the previous videos, but I find that between the UK and Canada and the US, so North America to the UK, I find that they give a lot of they give a higher amount for scholarships on the North American end than they do in the UK, which I find really interesting. But you're probably going to get about 2,000, maybe £3,000, probably not that, at the GDL from a university. I will cap it at 2,000. Do not have very low expectations. I will cap it at 2,000, or 2,500. So those are from unis. And then with the international ones, obviously the brackets are much wider. You can apply for Chevening scholarships. Chevening scholarships, you have to apply about a year in advance, however, for your program. So you want to go on their website. I will leave that link below as well. Go on their website, see when the next set of applications are open for that scholarship, and you can apply for that. Now the third category, which is probably the best, gives the most money, is the IN scholarships. So the IN scholarships range anywhere from between 2,500 to about £13,000. So you can actually get GDL scholarships to fund your entire education. So there are 4 INs, Inner Temple, Middle Temple, Gray's Inn, excuse me, and Lincoln's Inn. They all offer different types of scholarships. Sorry, they all offer the GDL scholarships, but within different ranges. So that's why I'm giving you that bracket between 2,500 to 13,000. Now, the basis on which they offer the scholarships are not uniform amongst INs. Some do a means-based test, and some do a merit-based test for giving you your scholarships. So it would depend, but again, the cap, at least for GDL as it stands, is at 13,000. I'm not sure, I can't remember which in that amount is specifically awarded by, but that is the range. So you have a chance to fund your education more, and you know, you can combine some of these scholarships as well. So the more scholarships, the better for you. I find that with the universities, though, you are only allowed to apply for so many. I think once you get one from that institution, you're not allowed to have another one. So being able to add the GDL scholarship from the IN or the IN scholarships with your university is a great compliment, or with another international scholarship is great as well. If you do have an international scholarship, so from an institution that is not within the UK, or an intergovernmental scholarship, when you are doing your application, you have to state that on the application. So that part goes a little differently than if you have money in your account or your parents' account. You have to include the information about the institution, the amount that they're giving you, and you would need a letter from them stating that yes, this is us, stamp a letter, so a letter-headed letter, just basically verifying that they're giving you this amount, signed, dated, all of that. The IN will do that as well. And you put that in your application, submit it, and that's all good to go. So those are the amounts of money when it comes to scholarship that you should be, you know, kind of factoring in as to whether you want to apply for those or not. That is entirely your decision, but there's no harm in applying to as many as possible. The BPTC scholarships tend to be even higher because the BPTC tuition is even higher, and also you can also get your pupillage award in your GDL year, which you can put towards your BPTC. So we'll talk about that subsequently as well. Now, one condition though of receiving scholarships from the IN is that you will have to be a member of that IN. So you are not going to take their money from one IN and then become a member of another IN. Now, IN memberships are for a lifetime. So when you are making these applications, you want to have, basically, you kill two birds with one stone. Before you even you get to the BPTC, you have your scholarship and you have your IN. So you want to research the INs and kind of, again, figure out the values of the ones that you want to be a part of, or which one holds the values that you hold dear, which community and network you want to have access to, which region. Well, I mean, they're all in central London, they're all in Westminster, so they're not actually situated too far from each other, but kind of where you want to be. Think of all those factors before you apply to the scholarship. So the deadlines for IN scholarships are all at the same time, usually on the same day, so you literally can only pick one. You can pick one, so there's no even chance to even run away from one to the other, actually. You can pick one IN and you apply for their scholarships, and that's it. Whether you're doing this before you start the GDL so that you get it for the GDL, or at the BPTC, you're applying to only one IN. So you're placing all your bets, you're hedging all your bets on one IN. And with the GDL, however, with the GDL, you will automatically become a member of that IN if you get the scholarship. So you don't even need to think about applying for their scholarship at the BPTC, because usually they match it, which is a great thing about the INs. They'll match that money that they gave you at the GDL for your BPTC. If, however, you are applying for a scholarship at the BPTC level, you are not a member of an IN yet. Either way, just as if you did at the beginning of the GDL, you're hedging your bets on one and you're picking them if you do get when you do get the scholarship. So it's a for life thing. Make sure that you choose that which makes your heart happy. I am a member of the Honorable Society of Inner Temple, very happy, very proudly. So there's a lot of stuff that I've learned from the IN, going to qualifying sessions. We will talk about what qualifying sessions are in maybe the next 2 or 3 videos. And that's about it. One point I think I did not mention earlier in regards to universities scholarships is that at least at City, what happens is when you pay your tuition for the first full year, if you do the second year, so whether it's LPC or BPTC at City University, you get a 10% discount off of your fees. So whatever the fee amount is for that year, 10% off that because you did a year with them. Not sure if that's the case for all the providers, but it is at City University. So that's a good thing because you do get some money off. And yeah, that's about it for this video. I don't think I've missed any details, and if I have, I will definitely cover it in subsequent videos. Let me know if there's anything that you would have liked me to cover in this video so that I can match it up or catch up on those points and answer your questions in my next video. So just leave them your questions in the comments section, please. And now that we're here, just subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you actually do get a notification for every time I upload these videos. There's been a couple of them now, and I think we're getting to the end almost. That's not true. I have a good amount of videos for you coming still on this. I want to cover everything I possibly can, all the way to pupillage and yeah. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've taken all the notes you need to take. The video is sitting on this channel, it's not going anywhere, so come back and rewatch if you need to. But I will catch you in the next couple of episodes. Take care of yourself, and all the best if you started this process. See ya.